Hey, what's up, YouTube? Marty from Team Peace and Pass. Happy Valentine's Day. Hopefully, you guys are sharing the love like you guys do with us, with the channel, and helping it grow incrementally. I really appreciate it. We're doing market watch, and we're going to start a little bit backwards because some of the other ones that I'm going to talk about will display these. So, we're going to start with the Divine Relics and where they're at. Looking Glass sitting at about 150 bucks. This card will get its reprint in RDO, so hopefully that'll trickle it down quite a bit, maybe closer to 100 to 120. You have to keep in mind with this, with Lost Providence, Grail, and Ring, that they're all competing for the ultra rare reprint slot, as well as competing with all the other reprints in that slot. So it's going to be a little bit harder to open. However, there's going to be more copies available. Make sure if you need it, get it, because this is what's being played. Unmake Duality, the actual distortion cards, things like that. This is the pinnacle of Divine Relics. Second place goes to Lost Providence. If you're not playing Unmake Duality with Looking Glass, you're playing this card most likely. Again, another card getting reprinted, but how many will people open? Time will tell as RDO comes out in April. $140 for Lost Providence currently. I can see if you want the nice, beautiful, ultra rare look versus the alternate reprint, you can pick up this copy, or just wait to see what the prices do as RDO releases in April. Grand Crusader's Ring has abolished itself for the altar, sitting at about $23. It's nice to see that, but nobody's really playing it. The only deck I've seen that is a level 3 deck that's playing it is Tristan, just because Tristan does stay behind. Building up those prep counters between level 1 and then getting to level 2 to draw a couple cards and things like that. Other than that, a lot of your other competitive decks, like the Dianas, are playing Unmake Duality for Cheshire Cats and things. So it's really just like niche ally decks and some of those level 2 decks that people are going to play. But that's just depending on what they decide to do. But if you want to pick up a copy of GCR, 23 bucks. Quicksilver Grail is the last one that is getting a reprint in RDO. It hasn't trickled down as gradually. I mean, from November was 78, and we've seen it kind of climb down to the $50 mark. There's only a few listings of that. After that, it goes back to 60, 65. So it's got a little trickle down. It's not being played in a bunch of things, and that's just the one thing to keep in mind. But definitely wait if you don't need it. See what RDO does for you. Art of War is sitting at about 30 bucks. I've seen a few people cite it. I think there's some niche funny things that I've seen in a couple builds that did okay. They were kind of in the mid, top 20 of a tournament where people would play Looking Glass with Unmake Duality, and then if they faced like a really crazy ally matchup or things like that, they would actually side this in, stall your opponent out as you're trying to chip the board and stabilize, and then unmake this away for a draw too. But keep in mind that Abyssal Heaven will be getting a reprint of Altar coming probably sometime at the end of this year. So if you want to wait, you can wait. Imperial Seal, it got its Mortal Ambition Altar sitting at about 30 bucks. However, you can easily just pick up a nice full art version for 17. So I don't know why you would probably pick these up unless you really like the artwork of this. But this is very easily much more cost efficient to get your copy of Imperial Seal. Temporal Spectrometer is sitting at about a $10 card, and maybe with Pantheon we'll see some people trying this out and go from there. Mercurial Heart, probably the second least effective next to Temporal Spectrometer. You get a couple listings at $6-7, and then it goes up to 13. So I guess if you want to pick up a copy just so you have your Divine Relic collection completed, it's cheap enough now to snag a copy of one of these three before they're gone. Let's talk about Nico. So Sable Mail Warden's Grip is the new Proxy's Vault card, and has caused a little bit of a spike in some of the cards that Nico can now play. Magebane Lash, if you want the original copy, you can spend about $3. If you want the altar with her on it, you're spending about $13. Really good card because Warden's Grip gives you so many lash counters, and this just gains attack for that. Nico's really strong with fire aggro with like the spell damage and stuff, just because if you're dealt non-combat damage, you get to recover too. So having this on there and being able to slice and dice or Icebound Slam or Ravishing Finale, really strong card. If you're looking to play Nico, make sure you have your copy ready to go. Icebound Slam. So Obviously, the card's banned, but Warden's Grip allows you to produce a copy of it and put it into your memory. So you have access to one of these, being able to attack if you are Nico. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you pick up this one copy, because there's some listings here, $12 to $15, you only need one for Pantheon as well. So you can definitely have that as an alternative option, and you can alternate between the decks. So picking up one of these copies for 12, 13 bucks. There's a couple at 15. After that, it jumps up to a $30 card. Make sure you have your copy ready to go, for sure. Ravishing Finale. Because of all the stuff with Warden's Grip, Nico as a attack card has kind of trickled up in price quite a bit. And you can look at this and see that it was a couple dollar card because you had the MRC altar and people not playing Nico. But now it's sitting at about $15 to $18 a piece. So if you want to pick up your copies to play Nico, you're spending a little bit more than you would have if you would have picked it up with the altar. But super clutch. We've seen a couple of them top regionals. We've seen some of them being played and doing really well, or just falling just short depending on those matchups. So it's not a deck that you should rule out, and I think it'd be a fun deck to play. I look forward to testing it a little bit more and finding the right build to make this deck very competitive. DTR liminal guides. We have a few listings here at 60 bucks, just the one playset. After that, it trickles on up because there's not too many on the market. 75 for a listing of 4, 80 for a listing of 4. DTR is not going to get any form of altar until probably sometime next year. So if you need liminal guides, make sure you have your copy ready to go. What is nice to see is Ghost of Pendragon cooling down. There's a couple listings if you want to pick them up at 25. After that, it's about 33, 35. RDO is going to have this in the reprint slot as well, so you have opportunities to open it, and we'll see maybe some of the pricing go down. With all the reprints, you have to keep in mind that there are 60 cards competing for the same slot, so sometimes you won't. It's not like you're going to be opening a Pendragon out of a case, out of a box, or even a case. You might open everything else and never open one. So we'll see what happens with the pricing as RDO releases and what that will do to the market. Sadie has always been on the climb. It's gone down, it's gone up. It's been $100, it's been $50. Sadie right now is sitting at about $70, $75 at the current moment. Alter for MRC needs to happen, or this card needs to be slotted in some form of reprint, hopefully sometime this year, so that way we can see this cool down. We pushed an Assassin Merlin deck, and that hopefully we'll get some support to make it a lot better, but a lot of people are playing that in that as well, but also Tristan and Windsander and things like that, so having copies needs to be a little bit more available for us in the secondary market. Not going to spend too much time with this, just Carter is still sitting at about 50, 60 bucks. It's ALC with the altar. It brought it down a little bit. CL brought it up. I've seen some Diana people trying it with fire, with the guns and everything like that. So maybe we'll see something change down the road and bring these down a little bit more cost efficient. But for now, basically $55 to $60 for your copies of Carter. The Phantom Monarchs event pack. Every single one of the altar foil cards, Burst Asunder, False Step, Essence, Fire, Amulet, and Regenerate. There are none on the market. I will say that the event pack did a really good job with reprints of Beseech, Ensnaring Fumes, Lightweaver's Assault, things like that were a little bit up, but having more copies available for us as the consumer is a really good option. I wish that these were a little bit more obtainable to open, just because, I personally would like to have a Safeguard Amulet, a copy of the Burst Ascenders, a copy of the Scatter Essence. Unfortunately, even at our locals, only a couple of these have been open after almost a month and a half of opening them. So hopefully we'll see a little bit more of these come to the market, but we'll see what happens as we go along there. Very excited to see what kind of reprints are going to be in the RDO event pack come April. Your rare recap of prices. Backup charger sitting at about $40 almost. Again, another thing that could warrant a reprint slot at any point in time to help kind of bring this back down. It did a good job with the altar until more people started playing and needing extra copies, and unfortunately it's trickled back up. Dungeon guides are sitting between $12 to $15. It's nice to see in comparison to the 20 to 25 that they were at. Everyone knows that they're going to be getting a playset of them in the Recollection deck. So you spend $50, you guaranteed to get 4 dungeon guides, which is nice to see. Fracturize sitting at about $20 in comparison to the 30 that it was. This card will see a little bit of a trickle down, hopefully with RDO and those reprints as well. Tengu at 10, it's only in the structure deck. Crystallized Destiny being a $15 card now, obviously because a lot of people are playing it in their main and in their side deck, or both. And then Dream Fairy sitting at about 10. Everything else as far as wears afterwards is $5 or less, which is nice to see. And that's something that I think rare should be as a $5 to $10 card, depending on what the rarity is. So hopefully some of these will trickle and cool down as well. Taking a look at some of the sets, Supporter Pack 3 is obviously our current supporter set. Supporter Pack 4 will probably be sometime in July or August to kick off after Worlds. But right now, Stifling, Flame Sweep, Astral Seal, and Excalibur being your super rares. They're a little bit more cost efficient, under $5 a piece. Getting foils is a little bit harder from this set. I will say that. I've been hunting 2 Excaliburs myself, and it's been almost impossible to find. If you want just the standard non-foil copies, they're very cheap. For an alternate artwork, make sure you pick up your copies, because eventually these cards will be out of rotation and printing, and what's out there will be what you're hunting for. Supporter Pack 2, just giving an insight of Supporter Pack 2 and what it looks like, to kind of see what that trickle effect that might happen for Supporter Pack 3. Fairy Whispers is now bought out and sitting at a $27 super rare. Was originally at $15. When the set was out, it was $8 to pick up a copy. So it doubled in price and then almost doubled in price yet again. Cremation Rituals originally were about $7. Now they're sitting at about $17. Some of the other things, Asin, Gleaming, Frost, Song of Frost, and Comet Fall still sitting at under the $4. And then the blank ones where people can draw on them and things like that, your spirits are now $90 a piece apparently, because there's just one listing of them. And then all of your other ones are a little bit cheaper. But this is the thing to keep in mind of what's going to happen to Supporter Pack 3. It's going to probably follow the same trickle effect of 2. You're going to see an incremental increase over time for people who are hunting down those specific artworks. From Phantom Monarchs, the only super rare that is above a $5 card is Topsy Decree. We've seen this kind of trickle back down. There's quite a few listings that the $16 to $20 mark if you want to pick up your copies. After that, it goes back up to $25 and then $35. This card out the gate was really strong, but a lot of people realize that maybe it's just warranted siding and things like that, because it's not 100% useful in every matchup. I personally usually play 1 to 2 in the main, maybe side a third in case I need it, and some people just literally side it, or they only main it. But make sure you have your copies ready to go. This is the only super rare that was above $5 from Phantom Monarchs. So I wanted to make sure that we covered that for sure. Taking a look at the ultra rares and the Looking Glass foils, you can see across the board a lot of your sites are they're all under 200. A good half of them are under 150. The other half's just a little bit above that, which are the ones that are the most played, right? Luxem, Astra, Umbra, Crux. The other ones are not seeing as much play. I'd argue Arcane is probably your honorable mention out of the half of these. So just bear in mind that if you want to foil out and bling out a set, you're probably spending about $800 if you're playing 4 copies of it in a deck. Like Luxem, you're going to be playing multiple copies. Astrocyte you are. However, Crux and Umbra, you're probably maybe only playing 1 or 2. Most people play none. But they're nice to see. They were good to look at. I have a Crux that I think is beautiful. Lost Providence that we covered is 140. As far as your other ultra rares go, obviously Lost Providence, we talked about 140. But when you're opening the set, you're basically the regalia. Palvor, Vorpal, Ticket are all the air quote money cards. These have all dropped off. Was 11, now is 6. Was 9, now is 3. Was 8, now is 3. People are just trying to move these. It might be the time to pick up these copies. We're going to see some support, hopefully, in RDO that will give some aspect to Alice to make her playable, and to Merlin to make her more playable. You don't. These are cheap enough, I guess. If you want to pick them up, I think they're garbage. But these three are something to warrant and think about for sure. Taking a look at the CSRs of Phantom Monarchs, basically, if you open a champion, you made some money. Everything else is less than that. Alice being at bought out at 592, level 2 is at 700. These might climb up if we see some really good support that makes her really strong. I'm very hopeful for it, as you can tell. Bandersnatch and Bill being under $200 per CSR. The thing is that a lot of it's just not played, and that's frankly what it is. Chessmen haven't done really much of anything. I've seen a couple suited top, but I don't even know if they were playing this card. These are just not being played, and that's the problem. I think CSR should be dedicated towards hunting down champions, of course, and then some of the more staple-ish, stronger super rares that people would want, and I think that would really help with that. Because Bill and Bandersnatch are great cards, they're just not being played, and I think that's the one thing that they should consider as their playtesting is in getting ideas of these cards is how viable are they actually going to be. And maybe that's just bringing on a couple other people onto the team to test that are competitive players to really test these thoroughly and say, this is a strong card, this is a crap card. I don't know. We'll see what happens with the RDO CSRs and what those do to the market as well. Last thing I wanted to cover was Mortal Ambition Alter. We've been seeing a little bit of play with a few people doing the pole arm stuff with Jin with Insurgent's Fang. Blinding Lapse has been played in like Gojira and Lux and Xander just to really kind of hit the opponent, drop their hand down, rip some cards. The ultra rare reprints, obviously we talked about Imperial Seal. The other one's $12 cheaper, so it might just be easier to pick up a full art version. These guys here are pretty cost efficient. If you don't have your copy, it's cheap enough to pick up a few. Maybe we'll see some unique stuff get played. Maybe these will become more relevant. We'll see what happens. But as far as the other stuff, once you get out of the super rares here, your rares are pretty cheap. $5 for the Torching Reach, that's the distant draw an extra card. Your Banquet, your Insight, all of this is just under $5, which is not bad to see, especially since AMB itself was a little lackluster in comparison to now, so not many people were opening it, but these will definitely make way to being potentially strong cards. But that's going to do it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Happy Valentine's Day, and as always, peace.